Well, glory be and mercy me, we've done it yet again. Here we are, walking around the graveyard as is our way. Today, as I was looking around for articles for my live stream, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please come on in. Let's have a cry about what's going on. Let's have a chat, right? You can ask questions, you can air your concerns, you can join the community, you can do all kinds of things. And while I was looking for an article for that show today, what did I find? A Financial Post article talking about how upwards of 30% of the homeless within shelters are students. People who are trying to go to school. People who are trying to better themselves. People who are playing completely by the rules. People who are walking into the systems that we have erected for them. People who are engineering students, nursing students. People who are trying to get degrees to join into the society, plunging themselves into massive amounts of debt that shouldn't exist in the first place. And to do so, what are they doing? They're going to shelters. They're living in shelters while simultaneously going to school. I can already hear like the right-wing fascist libertarian Nazi types, right? Being like, well, that's just they're toughening up and they're gonna be strong and they're gonna do all the kind of, and everything's gonna be better because they're fighting and imagine a society in which everybody will show. Do you really want the people who are building your buildings? Do you really want the people who are doing your open heart surgery? Do you really want the people who are caring for you while you're sick and while you're vulnerable? Do you really want the people who are trying to plan your society, pass your laws, do all of this kind of stuff, to have been living in a shelter while they learned how to do that, right? This is obviously, not only is it a moral abomination, not only is it an offense towards the people who are actually going through this horrific process that doesn't need to exist, right? It doesn't need to be this way. There is no reason for us to structure our education system so that 25% of the shelters are students, right? There's literally no reason for it whatsoever. Not only is it all of that, it's also from just a simple, hey, do you want a society that's strong? Do you want a society that's powerful? Do you want a society that works? Do you want a society and a civilization that grows and stands the test of time? Do you want any of that? From that perspective, it's just goddamned stupid, right? Because it's as straightforward as this, okay? If you plunge students into debt and poverty so badly that they need to go to shelters, many people will simply not go to school. Many people will simply look at that path, look at what their friends are having to tolerate, look at the outcomes, because guess what? There's no guarantee that they're actually going to get a job at the end of it, right? Something like 25% of the students who graduate from these facilities don't go on to get employment. Can you imagine working as a student, trying to better yourself, trying to get the degree, trying to do this, living in a shelter, and then being told at the end of it, nah, too bad, right? The economy just takes a pivot. The healthcare system gets privatized, right? So pay goes down, all of this kind of crazy shit goes on. Oh, well, too bad. And so what are a bunch of people going to do? They're just not going to go to school at all, period. What does this end up creating in the society? You end up with a stupider, less informed, less educated society. You end up with less professionals. You end up with less doctors, less lawyers, less engineers, less professionals in your society. And even more importantly than that, you end up with a society that is still full of people who believe in conspiracy theories. You end up with superstitious beliefs that pervade, because that's the true benefit of an educated society. The true benefit of an educated society is that education banishes superstition. I speak from personal experience. I used to believe that Jesus Christ was coming back at any moment and that the gays were causing the apocalypse. It's amazing what going to an educated facility and getting an education will actually teach you. right? To banish away these superstitions, to banish away these sorts of things. And I'm hard pressed to see an argument against the idea that having people who don't think magic is real is bad. Somehow, does that float in your consciousness? Apparently it does if you're on the far right. We are in a society that is in collapse. We are abandoning huge segments of the society. There is absolutely no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse whatsoever for students living in shelters. This is a moral abomination, and yet it continues and will continue to occur. Why? Because a desperate populace can be exploited. That we have decided as a people to pursue monetary gain, money, and say that if it increases the amount of money you get, it is thereby good, even if that counters what's good for the population. Because this is the hard reality that people don't want to accept. You can choose money or you can choose people. That's the choice. You can't do both. Increasing the amount of money you have means that people suffer. Increasing the amount of quality of life for people in the society means that you have less money. But here's what's hilarious about the conversation. Money's not real. We invented it. It's literally dots on a screen. It's literally someone picking up a pen and just writing down money. It's literally what it is. The force of its power exists because we all collectively agree that money has value. And what is the true value of money? That the people who utilize it and use it have withheld food and shelter from us, including our students, in order to say, if you don't sell yourself to me, while I do nothing of value, then you will starve and you will live in shelters. And we see it happening every single day. We see it all the time. And we're just choosing to ignore it. We're choosing to pretend like it's an issue of personal responsibility, while the system itself is designed to generate these outcomes on purpose. We have to surround the halls of power. There's nothing left for us to do. You can work within the system. I, for one, am helping Isabella Gamp run for city mayor here in the city of Toronto because she's fighting to increase ODSP. She's fighting for the rights of disabled people, and I would like to see that happen. But I have no illusions. I'm not sitting here believing that it's going to work, because the structure of the system is such that the wealthy and the powerful are going to win. Do you know what the cap that you can spend is on an election here in the city of Toronto? It's $1.5 million. Do you think us poor people have $1.5 million? Do you think that's happening? Right? The oligarchy has overwhelmed the system, and they will eliminate and gaslight and even kick in the doors of their political opponents if they start to gain power. It's over. We have to organize to surround the halls of power and continue a persistent rebellion against the system until we get permanent legislation enshrined in our charter that protects people from these psychopathic capitalists who are rendering people homeless, who are stealing our wages, who are doing everything they can to even physically burn down the society through climate change. And until we do such a thing, we are in a perpetual, never-ending class war that they, incidentally, are winning. We have to gather. We have to organize. We have to fight back. The system has provided no alternatives. And if we don't, then we will say to our children as they grow up in a slave society, well, sorry, I didn't do anything about it, as it actively was erected around you. All right, here's the end of this one, guys. Another happy-go-lucky one, right? Please like, for real. Please like, for real. The algorithm actually needs those likes. I know many of you see this and you think to yourself, well, that's nice. And you give up votes on subreddits and things like this. Please hit the like button. Actually hit it. Think about donating, right? Rents are going up. Inflation's going up. And if you don't donate to leftists who are actually trying to do this kind of stuff, well, where do you think they're gonna eat? How do you think they're gonna eat? Most importantly, always remember, you are a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires, they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.